Okay, let's get started. Thank you everybody for showing up for the August 1st Trader Vision 2020 workshop. I appreciate your time this afternoon. And before we get started, let's just review the questions that get asked a lot. First of all, if you have some sound issues, try the speaker in the lower left corner, try the red X in the upper right hand corner, and choose reload as the option. If both of those fail, click on the question mark next to the red X and go through the audio troubleshooting steps. Other than those, I'm not sure what else I can tell you on that issue. Something else that you can do is if you need to resize the video, there's a blue, let's call it sort of a cross at the top of the screen icon, and that can be used to resize the video. As well as the black frame will take you to full screen if you want to go that route. You can't hear. Well, yeah, try the steps I just outlined. Post it again here just in case. Okay, yes, I am recording, and yes, it will be posted. I will put it on the website. Let me just drag this over here so you can see. I will put it on the website. If you go under Products, Trader Vision 2020 Subscriptions, and you go to the Tutorials page, that will take you to that recording. You can also go to the YouTube channel, which I don't have a link handy for, but if you go to the YouTube channel, you will be able to find the video, and I'll post that sometime tonight, maybe middle of the night, but sometime tonight. Here's the agenda for today. First thing is, because I know there's some new people here, and some people told me they were going to come and check it out even though they weren't familiar with it, I'm going to do a very quick why use Trader Vision 2020. I think there's 6 slides, something like that, so it won't be a heavy sales pitch, and then we'll get into it. I'll be doing a demo of our new scanning widget, and I'm very proud of where we're at. It's not finished yet. We've got about a week, 10 days left before we'll release it. We'll release it by the end of next week. I'll answer your questions. We'll get into planning some trades, and we'll see how many people are left here. With the market the way it is, there's not going to be a lot worth planning, but we'll plan some out. Okay, with that said, let's, if we have time, we'll do development plans. Normally I try to keep this to 45 minutes to an hour. If we run long, I will stay until your questions are answered, and we'll go from there. So what is Trader Vision, and why does it help? Well, the first thing you should think about is a normal trader's trading process. Typically, a trader will read a book or read an article or see a video, and they'll try that system, and out of the box that'll fail. And so they'll throw in some other whiz-bang indicator that they got an email about, and then that will fail. And then they'll dump that system altogether, and they'll go to some other guaranteed system. You know, I got an email just the other day, 973 straight wins and no losses, that kind of garbage. And that will fail. And they'll just jump from one frying pan to another, and eventually they'll jump into the fire, having failed at adding 20 indicators to their chart and working with 5 different supposed gurus. They will wash out, give up, and just quit trading. The difference for a professional is that they use a very set process, and they have additional things that normal people don't pick up for years. They set their trade goals. They select trades based on those goals. They validate their every trade against their rules. They plan every trade. They manage those trades towards those goals. They analyze each and every trade as well as their overall performance to figure out what's working, what's not working, and they adjust based on those things. Hopefully that will be an upward spiral and they'll keep increasing their goals and continuing to manage themselves towards more profitability. But here's what's typically missing from supporting that process for most traders. They don't set their goals. Finding trades, sometimes they'll have somebody that hands them a fish, and that's great as long as that person is an outstanding fisherman. But it doesn't help them find their own trades. They'll usually get the charting figured out eventually. Normally they won't validate setups against a set of trading rules. They won't plan their trades. They won't log their trades. You'd be surprised how many don't. They won't analyze every trade or their overall trading for patterns. They'll just jump from one misery to another. And finally, they won't revise their goals. They won't make it a closed loop system. And as I said, these are the 5 things that are typically missing from a trader's portfolio. So their toolbox is missing these tools, and it makes them very difficult for them to make a profit consistently, because they're having somebody hand them trades, or they've just got one scan, or they've got one watch list that they work off of, and they figure out the charting, and they might validate the setups nominally, but these other things are all missing. Those are the things that Trader Vision addresses. We want to have a closed loop system, so a tool that supports you all the way through, and that's what Trader Vision's about. So enough of the sales pitch. Tonight we're going to talk about the finding trades. And as you know, or most of you know, let's talk about some scanning here. So let's just close that. This, and let's minimize that. This is the new Trader Vision 2020 Scanning Widget. And it's intended to be very intuitive, very simple, and very straightforward. It comes with, pardon the spelling, as I said, this is not clean, and don't be surprised if we run into an error tonight. This is the scanning code cobbled on top of my existing version, and that's probably going to cause some sort of conflicts tonight, but don't worry about it. It's a very simple fix to restart it. Basically, we've got 4 sets of scans that are going to come with it. About 3 or 4 times as many as most packages come with. We've got some bullish patterns, we've got bullish signals, we've got the same thing on the bearish side, bearish patterns and bearish signals. I think there's about 33 or 35 or something like that. Each one of these things can be scanned against a great universe. So you pick a scan. Let's just pick, since Rick's in the room, let's pick the rounded bottom breakout. Now we have a whole bunch of universes we can run this scan against. Canadian stocks, Canadian ETFs, the Dow Jones components, US ETFs, the Russell 1000, 2000, 3000, all NASDAQ stocks, all NYSE stocks, all over-the-counter stocks, just the S&P 500, or the entire US market, which is over-the-counter as well as NYSE and NASDAQ. So let's just say that I'm going to choose to run my scan against the Russell 1000, the high cap 1000 universe. The next thing you do is choose a minimum average volume. At the moment, this is a 200 period moving average, but I will change that to like 90 or 50, and eventually that will be something you can select yourself. So what this is telling me is 0.05 means that, I'm sorry, 0.5 means that I'm looking for 500,000 shares per day on average that a stock trades. I'm also looking for price to be between $1 and $200. That's it. I picked a universe, I picked a scan, I picked a universe, I picked a minimum average volume, a price range that I want to run against, and I click run the scan. You saw very quickly it came back with the result. And I'm not sure what AFL is, but it is around the bottom breakout. You can see that the 50 is down here, the 200 is up there, and we have broken in above the 50. We can see that DXC just barely broke above the 50, and although this may not technically qualify, it looks like sort of a morning star signal to me. OI is one that well, we're already in, and again, it's around the bottom breakout. OLED is the same thing. Now, please don't get too excited if you don't see the results you want. I have not gone through each one of these codes. That's what's going to happen in the next week. Testing out the code and making sure that my programmer has put it in there correctly. So there could be some issues there, but we'll figure it out. The other thing to know is that we're dealing with a data issue, and we will get that squared away, but we've got a data issue related to splits and dividends that is throwing us off, but we're working on it, and for now it's a very good result. If you're not you're not a trader that trades around the bottom breakouts and you want to look at, well, okay, I'll do it. The 3 EMA crossing above the 8 EMA, you just pick your universe, and let's try the same universe, and it comes up with a bunch of them. Let's put in, let's leave the 8 EMA as black, and then put in the 3 EMA as pink. It's my want. And you can see the 3 EMA jumped through the 8 EMA today. Should be the case on all of these. So if you're somebody who trades that signal, there you go. There's all the Russell 1000 stocks that meet that scan. We've got Bollinger Band breakout. We've got, like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I get 7 or 8 patterns and about, I don't know, a dozen or so. This is based on a 200-day average right now. That's my programmer did that because he didn't know what moving average I wanted. I will change that to 50 or 90 or something like that. And as I said, eventually this will be something where you can choose average over what period that you want. But this is phase 1, and this is what you'll be getting with phase 1 of the scanning widget. And again, by the end of next week, you will have this in your hands and be able to work it out. As you can see, we've still got to clean things up. We're not displaying the price and the change in the volume and the next report date yet, but that will all be in place by next week. So let's see what else. Gap higher, Apple's going to be on that one as well. So Apple obviously gapped higher. Ashland, well, it used to be Ashland Chemical. I think it's just Ashland Inc. now, gapped higher. You get the idea. The other nice thing about this is for each one of these things, there's an icon that you can click to launch a trade if you decide that's the chart for me. In phase 2 of the project, the scanning widget project, we will provide you the language, very simple, straightforward language, quite similar to the TC2000 PCF language that will allow you to write your own scans. And of course, if you don't want to write your own scans, you want something custom, but you don't want to get into the computer or the writing of code, you can certainly ask us and we'll write one for you. we'll get that figured out and set up. So there are going to be a lot of great things coming this way. And I know that Rick and Doug have talked about this quite a bit lately. Some of you are very familiar with the volatility stop indicator. I've got one of my programmers working on creating the volatility stop indicator so that we could easily add that to the chart as well. So that will be available to you. At the moment, J-hook is very complicated, Jake, but let's do this. David, no, you can't. That really wouldn't make sense to take scanning results from one platform and put them into another scanning tool. Theoretically, I could figure out a way to do it, but I'm just not sure that would make sense. Eventually, I fully anticipate that Trader Vision will get to the point where it's as full-featured and usable in at least the features that I feel are important as TC2000, and I plan to eventually drop TC2000 in favor of this. I'm not kidding anybody. The truth of the matter is TC2000 is much more robust, much more filled out. They had 20-some years head start. So there's no doubt whatsoever theirs is the better tool at the moment. But I think you get 7 or 10 scans from them, and we're going to give you 30-some. That's just the base case, and I think ours is easier to use in terms of pick a scan, pick a volume, pick a price, and click run. So that's where I think I'm going, and I just I'm not sure that it makes sense to do that, but we can certainly talk about it. Yes, Alan. My vision for Trader Vision is that eventually this will be an end-to-end tool. We're starting to talk to brokerages right now. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow, and so that you can send orders directly from Trader Vision to a brokerage. So I expect it to be a tool that covers that entire cycle that we talked about a little while ago. Everything from setting your goals to finding your trades, charting, planning your trades, managing your trades, analyzing your performance afterwards. Everything soup to nuts. And it will be integrated with your trading account. I see some typing here, so I'll hang on. But Jake, on your question, here's a pullback from the high. Here's another pullback. The problem that I've got with the J-hook at the moment is it's a very complex code, and so I did not want to do that right out of the chute. That my scan for J-hooks is quite complicated. Anybody who really knows me knows that I engineer the heck out of things, and probably overly so sometimes, trying to avoid too much chaff with my wheat. And so I need to either simplify things, or it's just going to take quite some time to code it in and verify that each and every condition matches up. Yeah, Alan, it is a lofty goal. Absolutely. So I absolutely will say that's a stretch goal. There's just no question about it. But you can say I've got too big a head, but I'm confident in my ability and my coder's abilities that we'll get there. I've got the vision, and I can see this tool getting there. You can kill me, or you can accept that eventually I will get it done. That's kind of the only options for me. I burn my boat when I hit the beach. So anyway, we got the pullbacks for you, but I will work on the J-hook. As I said, it's just not a phase 1 thing, because that is the most complicated code. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most complicated pattern to be able to scan for. And again, you have signals. So for example, if you want to look at Morningstar signals, and let's look at the entire US market, same filters, 500,000 shares per day between 1 and 200. And I know this was one I was looking at earlier today. Here's a nice Morningstar. I'm not sure if ARQL is. Yeah, that's a Morningstar type. Let's get rid of some of these. There, makes it easier to see. I don't remember seeing that one. I'm not sure what HCC is. Oh, okay, it's a Morningstar. But again, a lot of features that are still on the drawing board, but from where we were to where we are in the last 6 weeks, 2 months, I'm real thrilled with what we're doing. And as I said, within the next week and a half, this will be released to the users. Of course, you want more candles, you just keep scrolling. That's one difference between us and TC2000. They limit you, I can't remember the number, it might be 250 candles, something like that. But if you want to go to IBM and see history back to 1960 or 65 or whenever they started out, you can do it. I see some typing, so I'm just killing time until the typing's done. Oh, Michael, I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get into trying to dissect scans tonight. I took my code out of what I have written over the years, and what I'm currently using is what I've written these in as. So I really don't want to get into that, but let's just leave it at that. And not every scan is going to find results. So for example, let's just look at belt hold. That's usually one that comes up dry. And let's see what we come up with. Yeah, see, we come up with no results. So there was no belt holds today, and that's actually kind of typical. But we've got a whole raft of different scans, both patterns and signals, and both bullish and bearish, that you'll be able to scan against. As I said, when we get to phase 2, you'll be able to write your own scans or edit the scans that we give you. And if you want scans that are very custom to you, but you don't want to write them yourself, you can hire us to write something very specific to you. Not in phase 1, Matone. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's needed. For example, let's just, I don't know, let's just look at trending bullish. So these are all of the results, and you can flip down through them. I haven't got this enabled at the moment, but you can flip down through them very quickly using your arrow key or double clicking at the moment. We will change this so that right now I haven't got the arrow keys enabled, but by next week it will be. So you can just flip down through them. I know that that's what Doug and Rick to some extent really prefer to do, and I do it sometimes myself, but I just like to start with a tighter neighborhood. I've always thought of scans being like a real estate agent. Their job's to get you in the right neighborhood. It's your job to go through a whole bunch of houses and decide which one's the nice fit for you, if any. Sorcerer, you're asking what the number of results would be. Yeah, we can. For one thing, our scan is much deeper than what you get from TC2000, and so that tends to, depending on what list you use, obviously. Like if you use U.S. markets, I think that goes against 8,500 stocks. I know overall across all of these things, we've got like 14 or 15,000 stocks with prices in our database. So that a lot of them, most of you would probably, and certainly myself would call untradeable because they're not liquid enough. But it is still a stock and it is still listed, and we do have the price for them. So these filters are going to help a lot, but it's very quick as it is. And if you get, I don't know, there's a couple hundred, I can get the number to tell you what the results are by going to a URL right now, but I just don't want to do it at the moment. But that will in fact be something we could easily add if that's of value. We could put it up here next to the scan results, 127 out of X number of stocks or something like that. And of course it could be ETFs as well. See if I missed a question here. Thank you, Art. Yeah, it is. It's been the missing piece for the last couple of years. If you remember that cycle that I showed you earlier, the being able to select your trade, find your trade, that's the piece that's been missing. Trying to fill that in. We'll get the brokerage integration in place, and we'll be well on our way. There will probably always be another bell or whistle that somebody wants to add, but we will get the basics that everybody needs, and just keep going. As I said, things like the V-stop we're adding now, we're going to add the stochastics RSI and so forth. So you're saying a customizable, having a different list than the ones we have here. I think that would not be a problem for us because we can do that. You're probably talking about, Alan, you're probably talking about the list that Doug has, I think Doug or Donna, maybe it was Donna, has put together down in the documents folder in the lower right hand side, the most liquid optionables. Yeah. So certainly I could do that. That's, I don't know what that list consists of, but it's only 1,000 or so tickers, and frankly, it's just a subset of the existing tickers we have. There's going to be nothing listed with options that doesn't trade as a stock as well. So yeah, that's something we can do. Let me write that down. Okay, yeah, that's something I might even be able to do that by next week, by release date. That's going to be a fairly simple thing to do. It's a server side thing. Yeah, it does, but mostly things change places. So let's just say that list is 600 or 700 tickers long. Those 6 or 7, there's not going to be a new one that rockets from nothing to number 25. They're just going to change places in the list. I know that Doug talked about Apple dropping down from number 1 to number 2 this last month. Francis, yes, they will. Yes, they will. We'll be talking to them very, very soon. And we'll have very tight integration. One of the things that I've talked to their technical guy about in the past is being able to take our scan results and just move it to a watch list displayed on their platform. I still see some typing here, so I'm going to hang on. Oh, you're more than welcome. It's a labor of love, Sorcerer, but yeah, it's been a lot of work, and I don't want to take the credit. I think the folks in Latvia and the folks in Thailand, when they think of me, they think of somebody with a chair and a whip. So I drive a pretty hard team, and we're working hard at it. At this time, they need to be scanned individually, but that's certainly something I can talk about. I need to think through the design implications. It may be easy, it may be hard. If it's simple to do, then it would be such a thing where you could easily then do what I think it was you asked about earlier, running a signal scan and a pattern scan, and it has to meet both. So I just need to think it through. It's more thinking than I can do while I'm presenting. But I'll look at that, and I did write it down. Okay, I know some of you came and wanted to see some trade planning. So let's pick something out here. Well, let's do it this way. Does anybody have a ticker that they like, that they want to look at and plan for? OPK, okay. Okay, OPK has been on this nice run up and a pullback. We did a Morningstar type of signal, not exactly to the technical spec, but Morningstar type, and it's run through. If I'm not mistaken, I think you said the other night that you might already be in this, have been for a couple days. Obviously, that looks like the next resistance, and if I was going to get an entry, I'd probably do it on positive trading. So let's see if we can't just plan this out. So I don't have an earnings date on OPK. Let me check another source here. $8.14, I guess. So let's put that in there. I'm not sure if that's after or before the market opens. But regardless, we got 5 bullish factors. We've got things lined up. Let's plan this out as a single single entry. So if we're looking at it's called a 574 entry. I know that doesn't apply to you because you said you were in it the other night, but 574 entry and probably looking at about 630 as a target. I'm probably going to have my stop. Wow. This is probably not going to work for me, but we'll see. About 540, so let's say that we've got a 630 target and a 540 stop. For this particular account base that I've set up, and I can't remember if it's 100,000 or what it is, to keep it at $125 of risk to stop out, it says we can do 367 shares. Let's just go to 400 because that's only 1.6% of the account. So we've got $136 of risk, and if we sold all 400 shares at that first target, we're only getting 1.65 to 1, and frankly, we're only looking at, you know, less than 10%. With this stop, we're talking about almost a 6% stop. So that's probably not going to work for me. But to reach that goal of $350, it has to reach 662. Does that look like something it can do? Certainly, but it does need to break through resistance to get there. So you have to keep that in mind. William, you like PFE? Let's see what we've got there. Wow, guys, you know, if you were planning an options trade, possibly, I don't think I would chase this damn thing without a pullback. You know, that's a big move. Look at these other candles. We haven't had any candle like that for, well, at least since back here, back in January. So, and then with a follow-through day, to me, that looks like it needs a pullback. So I'd hate to plan a trade on that. I apologize. I don't want to rain on your parade or anything, but I really don't want to put that out there in case somebody else might take it. Here. Okay, we got a nice run up, working on a J hook. It's a PBO at this point. Let's say that the breakout here is going to be, what was the open there? 29.44. So let's call it 29.44. And probably get a stop right in around here, about 27.19. And I think the target would generally be, I don't have the fib set up so I can run them tonight, but it's going to be someplace. Well, let me just use my other tool. So on the 38.2 pullback, I'm looking at it 23.6 is my first target here. So 32.71 and then 37.11. And of course you would adjust those yourself. It says I can only do 50 shares and keep it that low. Let's do 100. That's going to be a little bit large for this. Only 2.35% of the account, but $230 of risk with that big stop there. But if we sold half of them at that first target, we'd pick up 11%. If we had to sell the entire position there at that first target, we'd pick up 326 bucks. If we held on to half of it and got to that second target, we'd pick up 546, making it an overall trade of about 18.5%, giving us 2.37 to 1, and I like that. So that's one that you can certainly look at. Let me go to this next one. Rick wanted to look at COM. COM is nice. We've got kind of an inside day here. Would have been a nice buy today as well. I guess my first target's going to be up in here about 33.5, and the second target up here about the 200. Let's call it 35. You're welcome, Elaine. Again, I've got nothing on. Let's look up that COM earnings date. It just reported. That's why it reported yesterday after the close, or something like that. So let's do 1 entry, 2 exits. What did I say? Oh, wrong chart. Let's say that we entered here 32.25. With a stop down here about probably right in this area, so let's call it 30.40. With the first target up there around what, 35.10, and a second target up there around 37. Again, let's look at 100 shares. For this little account, that's only 2.5%, $185 risk. But if we sell half of them here, 1.5 to 1, so I might have to look at either tightening that stop, and I could probably talk myself into 31 bucks across there. If it falls down below the body of this candle, I probably don't want to be in it. So let's say 31 bucks. Let's see what that does for us. Helps a little, gives us 2.25, 2.3 to 1. And if we hold on to the other 50 shares up there to that second target, we would get a little over 3 to 1. To make our goal, we only need to make 35.75. So to make 350 bucks on 100 shares, I need to get to 35.75. Yeah, it's tough out there right now. Cooper Tire is another one. Let's go over here. It's been on my list for a while. I know it's been on Rick's as well. Nice little kind of just taking some profits here, right about this level, across these highs and across these lows, kind of taking some profits there. So I could see buying anywhere in there. Let's call it 28. 28.25. And our stop's going to be down here about 27.50. Oh, you know what? I know why I'm not getting this data. Right now is update for that service. I apologize. That's why I'm not getting any data. No wonder. 28.25 and 27.50, I think I said. We have the first target on Cooper. Probably going to be up in this area anyway. Let's take it on up here. Yeah, let's call it 31 bucks because the 200 will be about there when we reach that. So let's just make it 31 bucks and get rid of this second option. It says we can do 166 shares. Let's do 200. That's 4.5%. Let's do 150. So for this account, we're keeping it to 3.4% of the account. And if we sell that 150 at the first target, we're getting 3 2/3 to 1. Like that. We only need to make 30.5, 30.58 to make our 350 bucks on the trade. And we've got $112 of risk versus $412.50 of reward. So that's one that might well be worth a look. Okay, guys. Do we have any other questions? If not, I will try to go back and finish up. Well, if anybody has anything else, otherwise I'll just give you a very quick overview of what I'm looking at in terms of development plans. These are the things that are currently on the development schedule. I've got the charting improvements I've talked about. We're adding V-stop. We're adding lots of things. The ability to pan so you're not off at the right-hand side. Things like that. We'll have the scanning widget, as I said. It'll be out by the end of next week for phase 1. Working on brokerage integrations as well. And then we're going to get into user-specified trading rules and finally options functionality. So that's what we've got going. If there are no other questions, let's call this a night right now. That'll make us just a little over 45 minutes. That's what I'd love to keep it to. If you do want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at ed@tradervision2020.com. Of course, we've got the free blog that we post every morning. Both Rick and myself post blogs. You go to the website and let me see, let me show it to you. If you go to the website and under trade ideas, if you remember, there's Rick's blog. If not, there's his public blog. And then the Trader Vision blog takes the feature trade idea and plans that out for you. Of course, you can see that on YouTube as well. On my YouTube channel here, which is listed there, I'm not going to try to read that to you. Michael, yes it does. And I'll be honest with you, it is not as good as on the Windows. And that has to do with limitations on the Mac side. They only want to work with certain languages. There's very few libraries and stuff available for them, so we've got to build things from scratch on the Mac side as opposed to being able to buy subcomponents on the Windows side. Thank you, Arnaldo. I appreciate it. So that's all I had for this evening. I thank you again for your time on a Wednesday afternoon. Please try to go out and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, evening, and I look forward to seeing you in the trading room, or you're welcome to come back next week. Take care, everybody.